San Antonio, the second largest city in Texas, in the southern United States. It's here that we find Bexar County Jail. With 4,500 inmates, it is more densely populated than the Fleury-Mérogis prison in France, the largest prison in Europe. In the lead up to their trials, inmates spend several months here. Most of them are adults, but one unit is reserved for juveniles. All of them are younger than 18.
Hey, can you call Master Control, please?
I had heard.
Sergeant Stephanie Flores handles special operations for the sheriff. Before laying down the law in this jail, she worked in nightclubs.
So, hey sir, how are you doing?
Speak with you later.
You want to talk to me? You want to talk to me?
No, it's about another officer. He assaulted me.
He assaulted you, or did the floor assault you?
He assaulted me. You can see it on camera.
Okay. Yeah, you.
Stephanie deals with this type of violence on a daily basis.
Anything is possible, but whether it is, will I always believe my officers over the inmates? Absolutely.
Legally, all of these inmates are innocent, but the conditions of their incarceration are very distressing.
All right, go ahead. They love each other.
However, love is not the reason these women are holding on to one another.
It's cold? Yes. And that's why you are...
Yes, we're trying to stay warm. They know that.
Can we consider them still innocent?
Yes, we can, but we do not treat them and such. In order for, they have come into this facility and we are not to make it a place in which they'd like to come back. It is not supposed to feel like it's a good and comfortable environment. It's supposed to feel like jail. When you're asking me to tell you whether you're innocent or not, the only thing I can do is point to this patch and ask them, what does this say? It says sheriff, it does not say judge, it does not say jury. It just tells me that this is my job. This is what I do.
For Stephanie, there is no room for empathy here, not even for the mentally ill.
You want me to open the door? Why? I'm sorry? Does my reality exist? Yes, absolutely, sir. Okay, I can't open the door. What? No, we're good. I gotta go. Yeah.
In the United States, the number of incarcerated juveniles is equal to the total number of prisoners in France. To combat this phenomenon, Stephanie has designed a shock program for high school students in the city.
Huh? We're gonna line you up. There's 12 of you, right? Okay, so 6 will go on one side, 6 will go on the other. All females.
For a few hours, they will step into the shoes of an inmate, and Stephanie won't hold anything back.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not kidding around with you. Stand up. Get on the wall. Stand up. On the wall. Put your hands behind your back.
These kids haven't committed any crimes, so their first experience of prison life is brutal.
Got really intense really fast.
Once again, ladies, there's no talking. If y'all do want to talk...
And this is just the beginning. After putting on the inmates' uniforms, their hands and feet are cuffed.
Once you're in here, you are technically being treated as an inmate.
Step behind here.
Hold on.
Stephanie immediately introduces them to the harsh conditions in the prison cells.
So I want y'all to see, you see all them in there. Just by looking at this in here, guys, I mean, tell me, that's awful, right? You see them laying on the floor. That's what they do. They lay on the floor, peeing on herself. It's just disgusting. If you don't like it, well, then don't come to jail. That's my policy.
To make a lasting impression on these teenagers, Stephanie takes them here. to the unit reserved for juveniles. The inmates are the same age as them.
23 hours a day. They only come out 1 hour a day. Come out the shower, come out 1 hour during the week for recreation, and that's it.
This recreation does not take place outside, but rather here in the unit's common room.
What you got to do? You got TV. So everyone, and there's rules. That toilet may be for pee only, that toilet may be for pooping, that toilet may be for both. And if you break one of them rules, you're gonna get thumped for it. Be honest, they beat people up for going to the wrong bathroom. Come on, guys.
No sun, no clocks. It's like Vegas, but not as fun.
To keep tensions high, Stephanie has staged an emergency intervention for the students with the jail's special unit.
Hands on the front with hands on your back. You're facing down. You're not looking up. Hands straight to the front.
Hold on. Put my foot.
Let's go.
Females first.
First line. Stay where you're at.
This elite unit is trained to intervene during the most critical situations in the jail.
Hey, you're not looking around. Face the wall.
Oh, I know. I'll give him.
Turn around and face these third officers. Corporal.
Their time.
With 16 years of experience, Lieutenant Spangler is in charge of the unit.
These are my guys. If you want to fight somebody, they have no problem using force on you. Tasing you, pepper spraying you, pepper balling you.
The chair.
The chair. One way or another, you're going to do what we want.
You ever seen someone hogtied before? We do that.
We do that. For
We
2
take-
hours, you'd be locked up like that, in a hog tie position.
If my lieutenant tells me I'm allowed to hogtie someone, it's like Christmas. Please.
After spending more than 2 hours in the inmate's world, the experience has taken its toll on the students.
It's a lot more intense than I expected. It's way different than what you see like on the TV or the cameras. You know, it's just hearing it, smelling it. It's all different. This definitely makes me want to stay on the right track and just, I don't ever want to be in here.
The United States has the largest prison population in the world, with 2.3 million Americans behind bars. And children are included in this total. They can be imprisoned from the age of 10.
You know, you cannot put a kid in jail. That's not right.
Only 30% of minors are imprisoned for violent acts. Most are detained for smaller offenses, such as drug use.
Any kind of substance, it's a usable amount. That's all you need to prosecute.
When they commit a serious crime, their age is no excuse. Children can be tried as adults and incarcerated alongside them.
I don't want another 15-year-old to come into an adult correctional facility to deal with the nightmare that is dealing with the prison system.
The prison conditions for young people are violent and end up causing them irreversible trauma.
If these people had no mental health issues before they entered solitary, they do now.
They are placed in solitary confinement, isolated for months in cells without windows, where they are frequently starved and beaten. When they are released, many of them are unable to readapt to normal life.
I feel like my childhood, my spirit died of me, you know.
Some prisons use an alternative approach.
We have to start treating kids like kids and not like inmates.
But this is still a very rare approach. America has chosen to punish its youth the hard way, occasionally pushing fundamental rights to the limit. Here, there is no mercy for kids who do not respect the law. La Jolla, one of the poorer cities in Texas, situated at the Mexican border. This state holds the record number of prisoners in the country, 218,000, which is 3 times the number in France. The reason so many children are included in this total is due to the amount of police officers present in schools. The 43 scholastic establishments within this education agency have chosen to invest in a police force that is exclusively dedicated to them. They have substantial resources at their disposal, assault rifles, and approximately 60 cameras in each school, from middle school to high school. Captain Perez is in charge of surveying the students' every move.
If I want to see what's going on at some of the other schools, I do have access. So all he has to do is just click and he can see what's going on. It can be bullying, it can be narcotics, it can be weapons, and in some cases it can be assaults.
To ensure that all offenses are recorded, a system of paid informants has been put into place.
We got different type of criminal mischiefs, thefts, if you report any thefts.
Information about a theft is worth $40, while information about a firearm is worth $200. With the help of this system, police officers make approximately 100 arrests per year, often for things which would not go beyond a disciplinary board in France.
Okay, ma'am. Axel, ven. We're going to process him here. We're going to go through here. Tome asiento, miss, y ahorita estamos con usted. Okay? Go ahead. Stand by the wall. I'm going to take a picture.
This 16-year-old is here for punching another student during a fight over a girl. A complaint has been lodged, so this young man will be treated like a criminal.
Okay.
You have the right to remain silent and not make any statement at all. Any statement you make may be used as evidence against you in court.
I know what I did is wrong.
Although there will be no prison sentence for him, this fight will haunt him for the rest of his life.
It's going to be on file for there. Okay.
With a criminal record, it will be difficult for him to get a school scholarship, a bank loan, or even a job. It is impossible for these kids to fall through the cracks. The police watch them all day. In this high school, there are 6 police officers and 4 security officers. They patrol the building together and collaborate with the school staff. Among them is Fabian. He has been working in this school for 3 years.
Where are you going to here? Want to class? Take a minute.
This morning, he is escorting this student to the school supervisor's office because she has skipped class.
What's going on? Well, why are you in my office?
No sé.
You have no idea why our officer brought you in. So far, you've skipped 2 classes today. Can I trust you to show up? Yes? Yes? You can go back.
As part of their day-to-day tasks, these police officers have a very similar job to a school monitor in France. They keep students moving in the corridors and make sure they go to class.
Let's go, guys. Hurry up. Guys, hurry up, guys. Let's go. Let's go, guys. Hurry up. One-on-one. We're here to help the students and the staff. We work together. Basically, at the end of the day, it's time for the kids, help them graduate. That's what we're here for.
Nowadays, more than 40% of America's public schools have at least 1 police officer at their disposal. Their presence is mainly required due to the war against drugs that has been waging in schools since the 90s. Regular raids are organized in the schools at La Jolla by the police K-9 Brigade.
We have a drug-free zone, which are the schools, and there is a 0 tolerance at the schools also.
Any kind of substance, it's a usable amount That's all you need to prosecute.
The principal of this high school fully endorses this policy. The police officers escort her to the classrooms.
We always welcome you. Okay. It's always good to be here. Good morning, everybody. Sorry to interrupt.
She supervises the searches in the classrooms.
You all to please step out of the classroom. Take off your jackets. Leave your backpacks.
This is completely normal for the students.
That makes it more secure in school because of the drugs that they might take out.
Taking precautions, it's good to take care of our community, so it's not scary.
He's already been in the school district for about 4 years. He knows what to do. He'll go in through the desks and work the classroom.
They didn't find anything this time, but drugs are the main reason for police interventions in the schools in this area.
I'll be going today from 5108 and route to East Academy, serve a warrant.
Officer Jose Elizondo has to arrest a 17-year-old student found in possession of a small amount of cocaine at school.
Hello, Ms. Sanchez.
Hi.
Yeah. Okay, I have a warrant.
Can we go ahead and start picking up the student? He's here.
Okay. Hello, sir.
Hello.
How you doing? Let me just, yeah. Nelly Torres. Okay. We have remember the case from September?
What's the case from September?
Yeah,
My
the
watch?
baggie. The baggie.
Yes.
The baggie. Okay. We have to send that out to get tested. Okay. Based on the testing, the results came back positive. It is coke. We're gonna have to take it to a judge, so the judge can review your rights, read you the charge, and everything. From there, we have to process you, take you to the county jail. Okay.
The teenager is terrified. This is the first time that he has had a run with the police.
Just have a seat. Don't freak out. There's nothing that you should worry about. It's just a process. Okay.
Has my mom already been?
We're gonna call your mom right now.
But it hasn't been done?
No, but we're gonna call her.
Can you call her right now?
Yeah. The arrest is, regardless, is gonna happen. Whether your parents know or they don't know, or they answer or they don't answer. At this point in time, you're considered an adult. So you're not a juvenile anymore.
In Texas, it is possible to arrest and imprison children from the age of 10. Once they have reached the age of 17, they are automatically tried and sentenced as adults. For the principal of this high school, this is completely normal.
I think that they know what they're doing at this age. They do know what they're doing. They need to be responsible and held responsible. They need to have some consequences, because if we don't give them consequences, it's going to continue.
The young man is sent to the county jail for a few hours to have both his photograph and his fingerprints taken.
Are you scary?
Yeah. Never done this. Never been through the process.
He will be released this evening and will avoid jail this time, but a reoffense will put him directly behind bars. The United States is the only country in the world that has not adopted the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, which gives the right to plead the defense of being a minor. When the charges are serious, adolescents can be tried, sentenced, and incarcerated alongside adults. Brazoria, Texas, 500 kilometers north of La Jolla. This small town is known for its adult correctional facility, one of the oldest in the country. Austin Eversole was imprisoned here 10 years ago when he was only 15. We have been given permission to talk to him for 1 hour under close supervision. Austin still has to spend 30 years in jail for murdering his father.
And I shot him because I thought seriously that my life was in danger, and he already had told me earlier in the day that he wanted to kill me, and he had a knife near him, so I snapped, and I wish I wouldn't have.
Prior to committing the crime, Austin had already spent several years being beaten and humiliated by his father on a daily basis.
Irrationally, I thought that by killing him, I would end the trouble and that I guess my life would be good. I don't know, this is the mind of an underdeveloped 15-year-old.
However, it is at this age that his court-appointed lawyer makes him sign an agreement, sentencing him to 40 years in prison without a trial before a jury. This adult sentence sends him here to live among adult inmates.
You're so young and you see these people, and a lot of the time you're like, oh, I want what he's got, or he's cool, or he reminds me of my dad, and that puts you in a trajectory to living a bad way because you're not around positive people. You're surrounded by criminals, people that are hardened, people that have been doing this, time after time.
Statistics show that juveniles imprisoned with adults are 5 times more at risk of being raped, and their suicide rate is 10 times higher than the average prisoner.
I don't want another 15-year-old to come into an adult correctional facility. I don't want that to happen to anyone else, for them and their family to deal with the nightmare that is dealing with the prison system.
Austin will be released from prison when he is 55 years old. In Texas, this severity towards juveniles has yet to prove its worth. The rate of drug use continues to increase, and the reincarceration rate is at 42%. The zero-tolerance policy, which has been in place for approximately 30 years, is increasingly called into question. Next, we head to the state of Utah, in the east of the U.S. Here, juvenile justice has recently been the subject of a major reform. The reform's main objectives are to lower the prison population and to invest everything they can into rehabilitation. At the foot of the Wasatch Mountain Range lies the town of Ogden, population 90,000. Here we can find the juvenile detention center known as Mill Creek. We have been given special authorization to spend a few days here.
Who you at? Mill Creek! Who you at? Mill Creek! Mill Creek! Oh yeah! Mill Creek! Oh yeah! Mill Creek on 3! 1, 2, 3! Mill Creek! Yeah, guys. Whoa!
Behind these fences, there are approximately 60 teenagers, aged between 12 and 20. They have been detained for serious crimes, such as murder, robbery, and drug trafficking. Today, they are playing a game of American football against a team from another prison. This type of encounter is only possible in this part of the country. And it is thanks to the juvenile justice reform designed by Susan Burke.
Is a really different approach. We have to start treating kids like kids and not like inmates. If we talk about kids as inmates, then we're going to treat them like inmates. If we talk about kids as young people here and giving them an opportunity to change, and then our attitudes will change about how we treat them.
This is an ambitious mission, particularly since 90% of the inmates are members of gangs and sometimes rivals. And unlike in other prisons, these inmates are mixed, meaning there is constant tension.
Because there was just a fight in the gym. I knew it.
Shara has been working in the prison environment for 15 years. She knows that the other inmates quickly have to be separated to avoid trouble.
Hey guys, can you line up, please?
In the gym, 15-year-old John has just punched another inmate. He is here as a result of 67 counts of assault, and the staff find it very difficult to control him. It takes 6 people to do so. Shara is accustomed to these kinds of situations, but this guard neither wears a uniform nor carries a weapon. She sees herself more as an educator.
Ricky?
That wasn't gang related.
Get Rick.
Doing this?
Nah, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I want to see it.
Shake my hand like that, sir.
This is a handshake.
We go like this, though. We go like this, then like this, then like.
She looks after approximately 15 teenagers in this unit.
What is the term that you're using? A resident. It's a secure facility for kids. Secure. I will not say prison.
Among these kids is 17-year-old Jose. He is a member of a gang. He was sent here a week ago for kidnapping and violent robbery.
They wanted me to do adult time. And if I would have stayed an adult, I would have did 15 years to life. So I fought the charge, telling them to take me juvenile. So we went to agreement.
In this agreement, there is a condition which hangs heavy over Jose's head. If he gets into a fight with another inmate, he risks getting a life sentence in an adult correctional facility.
That's good. But your mom's worried about that.
I'm not sure want me to.
Here, altercations between rival gang members are common.
Hey, you know me, Salt Lake City on the map. Fuck scraps. You know what?
Stop. Stop.
Shara intervenes to stop the situation from getting out of control for Jose.
He just disrespected his gang, and so he walked away, so they don't fight.
I know. So that's my room.
Jose has a few rituals that help to calm him down.
This right here, this is just like weekly goals. My goals are learn rules, find someone to trust, and staff-wise, find someone to trust, and respect everybody. I always respect everybody, so I've been doing good. Orientation.
Since he only just arrived, Jose is monitored 24/7 by this camera.
Get your first hearing and see if I'm not suicidal or stuff. It's kind of weird, because it's right there, and they could probably be watching you.
In his cell, everything is secure.
These aren't glass, these are metal. But if it was glass, it would break, and so you're hurting yourself, and they don't want you to hurt yourself. Yeah, they're that small. So you can't make knives out of them.
As in all prisons, violence is a constant factor.
We about right here. All day, all right? Come to Utah, this is what you're gonna get.
Most of the inmates join gangs at a very young age. Jose joined the Serreños when he was 13, and he didn't really have a choice in the matter.
All my family's in it.
All your family?
Yeah, my whole family. Sell drugs, do missions, bus missions. Missions is what I'm in here for. Aggravated kidnapping, robbery.
Did you have to do that?
Yes, you get jumped 3 minutes straight.
Like me, I actually got jumped one time by a whole bunch of my gang members because I told them that I was gonna calm down. I was gonna still bang. I got my ribs broke, my collarbone was broke, my jaw was wired shut. I had a couple of teeth knocked out. I had brain bleed in my head. My kneecap busted with a baseball bat.
You can't run away from it.
You can't run away from it. I mean, when I get back out, it's gonna be the same thing. You know what I mean?
You have to do the same.
I'm gonna try to be smarter and not get caught up.
You would have to go back into your game?
Yeah, kind of have to.
You have to?
You have to survive.
And do you want to?
Honestly, no. I'd rather be with my family.
These teenagers find themselves in an inescapable situation.
Kevin, are you going to get a green on?
To help them get by, the administration team focuses on education.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Like all American teenagers, these inmates go to class every day. The classes are held inside the detention center.
Right side, guys.
For Jose's unit, the morning begins with a biology lesson. Today's topic is DNA.
Yep, there you go. All organisms are made of cells.
And their teacher, Mr. Thompson, has a few tricks to keep his students interested.
So, your whole body is made of cells, okay? This is also why when they go to a crime scene and they want to collect DNA, all they have to do is look for cells that have fallen off the body of the culprit or the killer. Do me a favor.
Now, it is time for some practical exercises with toothpicks and glass slides. In prison, these utensils can be turned into weapons.
Where does this go? Trash. Okay, it goes in the trash. Throw them away. Don't try to steal them or take them, okay? Make sure it gets in the trash, all right? You know, so whenever we use equipment, whether it's glass or metal or even a toothpick, you want to make sure you get everything back, you know, in your possession so the kids don't take anything with them.
The teacher is assisted by Shara, who has a very sharp eye.
I'm just constantly watching them at all times.
Go on to college.
I actually check, and they lift up their shirts a little bit to see if they have anything hiding in their pants.
And these are viruses.
I check to make sure they don't have any pins on them.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
I got 6. I got 1. Don't you start yelling.
To encourage good behavior, a point system is used. This allows them to obtain certain benefits, like getting more time to play outside, or the chance to participate in some of Marty's classes, a therapist with a unique approach.
Whatever's happening in your environment from a place of peace and hopefulness and a place of respect, and good things are likely to happen.
Aside from meditation, Marty's most popular classes for the inmates are gym sessions.
A little deeper. I got you.
They all want an impressive build, to look imposing and gain respect. This is especially true for Chris, the youngest among them. He just turned 14. He is often teased.
Hey, he's a cutie.
Because he's young?
Yeah. He looks like an innocent little kid.
For him, getting toned is practically a means of survival.
Watch out my chest.
You want to be strong?
Yeah.
Why?
Too strong. Beat people up.
This is not the therapist's goal. He wants to teach them self-control.
Most of them have histories of abuse and neglect in childhood. Abuse, neglect, abandonment, which leads to kind of like problems in behavior. The practice is helping the kids learn that they can use their bodies as a way of kind of managing emotions and finding mental well-being.
Thanks, Marty.
This new approach for keeping the young inmates disciplined seems promising. The reoffending rate in Utah has started to decrease, but it remains to be seen whether this concept will spread to other states, since for the last few years, the United Nations has been denouncing the torture practices prevalent in American jails. This is particularly evident in New York, where juveniles are still forced into prolonged solitary confinement. The Big Apple, with its internationally famous symbol, the Statue of Liberty. It is hard to imagine that the second largest and most severe prison in the United States is so close by, Rikers Island. Rikers Island has around 17,000 inmates, including juveniles awaiting their sentences. It is behind these walls that the life of 16-year-old Khalief Browder turned upside down in 2010. His story shocked the country. Wrongly accused of stealing a backpack, he spends 1,000 days at Rikers, waiting for the court ruling that will finally prove him innocent. Throughout his stay, he is assaulted by his fellow inmates. This footage shows a crowd of inmates beating him up. His mistake? Refusing to join a gang, like most of the other inmates. So, they assault him. Some guards try to protect him, while others beat him for no reason. For his own protection, he is sent to solitary confinement, otherwise known as the hole. For 2 years, he spends 23 hours of his day in a cell the size of a parking space, with almost no contact with the outside. He tries to kill himself several times.
16-year-old Khalief Browder was walking home from a party in the Bronx when he was stopped by the police and arrested for robbery.
After his release, his story captivates the media's attention. The country discovers the horrors of solitary confinement.
What they do is they starve you, they won't feed you, and it's already hard in there because if you get the 3 trays that you get every day, you're still hungry because I guess that's part of the punishment. So if they starve you 1 tray, that could really make an impact on you. And
how much were you starved?
I was starved a lot. I can't even count. This happens every day, and I feel like this got to stop because I feel like there's a lot of people that's in there for stuff that they didn't do.
The mayor of New York has promised to close Rikers Island within the next 10 years. Psychologically destroyed, Khalief Browder killed himself 2 years after his release from prison. In his memory, a road in New York is named after him. We were able to talk to a woman who worked at the heart of the system, in the unit where Rikers Island's 500 solitary confinement cells are located. Her name is Mary Busser. She worked there for 8 months as a psychiatric assistant, and what she saw there traumatized her for life.
If these people had no mental health issues before they entered solitary, they do now. Often covered in blood from gouging their arms, from picking at veins on their body, blood-smeared walls, people just banging their heads and banging, and I would see bare skulls, people with makeshift nooses, people just babbling, just gone, incoherent, some people smeared in feces. And it was very obviously disturbing to see human beings in this type of a state.
The consequences of solitary confinement are disastrous for mental health.
To put it bluntly, it scrambles the brain. People become very depressed. They start to have imaginary conversations with the walls, with bugs on the walls, anxiety, great difficulty interacting with people when they've been in there for a while, removed from reality, plunging despair, people becoming suicidal. It is very extreme.
Today, an increasing number of American states have restrictions on solitary confinement for juveniles. but a third of them still use it without limits. For the young people who survive this hell, returning to normal life is almost impossible. North of Central Park lies the district of Harlem. A large part of the population is black. This demographic is 5 times more at risk of being incarcerated than the white population. Reginald and his cousin were born here.
This is Harlem. This might be the best neighborhood in the 5 boroughs. You know, people like to dress. Not too much of that gangster stuff. You know, we don't do that over here. We don't play that.
He never thought he would see Harlem again. Accused of murder at the age of 16, he spent 6 years at Rikers, half of which were in solitary confinement while he waited for his sentence.
Yeah, no man. Yeah, I like this. I see you.
After being proven innocent, he was released in February 2018, but he is struggling to readapt to life on the outside.
Certain things out here can make me react to like I'm in a box, you know? I just can't get nervous. I can't be around a lot of people. Shaking people's hands and them touching me, I can't handle that. It's creepy to me, man. You know, the social life, man, because the box has put me in there like, I've been so used to being alone.
Reginald knows everyone in this neighborhood. Many of his friends have also spent time in the box, the nickname given to the isolation cell.
I'm 30. He been in his adolescent before, too.
Yeah,
No?
I've been there since I was 18.
He was there before me.
Out of 10 years, I was in the box for 4 years.
Too, growing up in the box. You know?
You gotta be mentally strong. When you're mentally strong, you might kill yourself.
Nah, my lawyer did, though. It's all
rough
60 minutes.
It's just why a lot of people bug out in the box. There's always a lot of hostility, a lot of aggression because nobody wants to be there. It's like a jail inside of the jail.
You don't supposed to go super crazy, like local, or you lose your mind, like you eating feces and stuff like that.
It happens all the time.
I don't want nobody to experience that.
All those years spent in prison have scarred Reginald for life. He has suffered both emotionally and physically, which is evident from this scar on his face. It was the result of a fight with another inmate.
Come here all the time.
Do you ever play?
Nah, I used to play when I was young. Well, I don't play no more because like I got pain in my legs and stuff from being stagnant, from not moving, so being in a you know, not getting exercise. So I developed like a gap spacing in my leg. I had came out the box in the bing. Felt like something died of me. I feel like my childhood, my spirit died of me, you know. Happiness died of me. That's what I feel like.
Today, Reginald is unemployed. As with his physical disabilities, it is very hard for him to find a job. While he searches for work, he lives here with his cousin in their family apartment. Like a third of the young people who have been in prison, he suffers from depression. The box of medicine on his shelf is always there to help him fall asleep. But what worries him the most is the anger inside him that he says never fades.
Certain things that's not okay, it's okay, you know. To lash out, to beat on a gate and for attention, to act like animals, it's okay while you in there. But when you get out, you like, yo, I was just doing this, like, I can't believe that was me. I didn't want to be this person, this aggressive person, this, you know, this sometimes hateful person. You know, sometimes I hate things for no reason, man, and I don't understand why. I still feel 16. You know, I don't feel like I'm a grown man. You know, so I was lost. I'm lost. I'm still lost. Like, I never grew. You didn't give me a chance to grow my mind. You know, you can't put no kid in there. You know, you cannot put a kid in jail. That's not right. He's a child.
Now he holds on to the hope of being awarded damages from the state of New York. Back to Utah, the state which has reformed its judiciary system in order to lower the number of incarcerated children. A new program has just been introduced in this brand new building, attached to the Juvenile Detention Center. Kids in crisis are sent here to avoid jail. This form of preventative detention can be elected by parents, the police, or the social services. 13-year-old Mike arrives with his family. He immediately bursts into tears. He did not know about his placement here.
Facility. Come sit down. It's gonna be.
Unsure of how to deal with his behavior, Mike's mother and grandmother have chosen to send him to this secure center.
He's getting out of control. He's starting to set fires. He's real aggressive. He's very angry. Tries to steal my cigarettes, and he smokes in the house, and he puts them out on his mattress, and we don't want him to end up in prison and further when he gets to be an adult, because that's the direction he's heading in.
Mike will stay here for the maximum duration of 30 days.
So our program, we have activities that if he wants to go to, that we would go to Archway and ask him if he wanted to go. They're voluntary, so we wouldn't force him into doing them. They're the rights and responsibility of our program.
Emotional regulation classes.
Should I take them? These are our rules.
Take them.
Okay, I'll go to DBT.
You'll lie here.
Okay.
I just want to make sure he was still being.
Mike has trouble breathing. He is very worried about being separated from his family. Although he is old enough to be detained here, he won't let go of his stuffed animals.
Can they?
I love you, baby.
Mike has to take a personality test to determine his follow-up care on site.
Have you done anything you wish you hadn't when you were drunk or high? Yeah. Have you felt like killing yourself? And I answered yes.
Okay, what about mood swings?
Definitely.
Okay, and depression?
Definitely.
Okay, breathing problems?
Does it count if when I get angry I go like
No, because I think we covered that in the clinic.
Okay.
Right, you have 2 stuffed animals.
Mike struggles with addiction and psychological problems, but he completely understands what is going on.
It's mainly to help them understand whether or not I'm safe to be here or if I have to go to a more serious facility.
Can you grab your bag?
Yep.
Let me open that.
Oh, yep.
He has already spent a few days in this facility, so he knows his way around.
Grab some bedding for you.
Sure.
And then, can you show me?
Yeah, there's, this is a wooden bed because they don't want kids, having metal beds because they can take the springs and injure themselves. And this is foam bed so kids can't use it to suffocate themselves, just like with the pillow. It's kind of like really small, like a cell.
Mike's behavioral issues are linked, among other things, to his family situation. His father is an addict and is currently homeless.
Do you know why you are angry?
Because my dad's not in my life. Very sad. I'm not happy to be here, but I think it'll help.
Are you afraid to go to
jail?
Yeah.
Honestly, I am, because I feel like I might get beaten up. Also, you're not even allowed to have toothbrushes there because they can make shanks out of them, which is a knife.
These adolescents are here for problems linked to drugs, abuse, or violence. Mike has befriended 15-year-old Samantha. She is here to get away from her mother, who hits her.
How do you feel here?
What? Safe.
Yes.
It's true. I feel safe. What are you laughing at?
I feel like I'm caged.
Well, yeah, but it's a good kind.
This is not a good kind of cage.
Oh?
Good point.
Mike has difficulties with other kids his age.
What?
Sean, you don't have friends outside?
No, because I'm a bad kid.
You really think so?
Yeah, nobody wants to hang around somebody that smokes. Does drugs and stuff.
His struggle with addiction has little chance of improving due to the massive doses of medication he has to take. Every evening before bed, it's the same routine. Like in prison, Leslie checks to make sure he hasn't hidden the pills in his mouth.
Okay, cough. Yeah. Cough that way. Okay.
What kind of medication do you take?
Sleeping, anxiety, depression, and anger. He takes 6 at night, and then he takes 4 in the morning. That's a lot. Yeah.
In America, besides being detained, troubled teenagers are often treated with very strong medication that has numerous side effects.
Does it help? How do you know?
Because I don't think it does.
Even so, he still asks for more types of medication.
I have no melatonin here.
There was no melatonin.
We can ask the nurse tomorrow.
I can't sleep without melatonin.
In your room for a second then.
Melatonin is a medication which can help people to fall asleep.
Thank you.
So, Sean, I talked to Mom, okay? And Mom says you're going to be fine without it tonight.
That's fucking bullshit.
Okay.
I can't sleep without it.
She said you'll be fine, but she'll be in tomorrow.
I'm not gonna sleep without it. I can't sleep.
We'll just check him more often than we would, because he's not happy, and he could hurt himself.
Only take one of those in your room.
For almost an hour, Mike refuses to settle down. He does not give in. He wants melatonin right away.
I have no clue what I'm going through.
You're right, I
so
don't.
be quiet.
Feeling stuck, Leslie decides to call his mother.
Hey, these are nice. Mommy, are you coming?
Nice.
Why the hell did you not bring them when it's your responsibility and your duty as a mother and a caretaker to bring me my medicine? You should feel guilty because you're the one who put me in here. Feel guilty.
Mike finally falls asleep without melatonin at around 11 p.m. He is still monitored by the specialist from this program, but from home. He hopes never to have to return here. Cut off from their families and disrupted in their schooling, incarcerated adolescents are exposed to violence and trauma that jeopardize their development and scar them for life. They return to society lost and stigmatized, often with no other prospect than that of falling back into crime.
It's 4:45 in the morning in California. Chief Sergeant Yin is already standing at the ready. He runs one of the most successful boot camps in the United States. A boot camp is a recovery camp supervised by professional soldiers. The sergeant and his team are in charge of getting 133 young people back on the right track.
This morning would be we call it shark attack, so it's when we come in very strong. And the purpose of this is to let them know that this is our world now. And in our world, we control everything here. The signal call for shark attack will be the bullhorn. Please inform your teams.
In the dormitory, the new recruits arrived yesterday. They're still sleeping. It's their first wake-up call, and a brutal one at that.
out your right! Jumping jacks go! Jumping jacks go! Get out your right! Jumping jacks go! Jumping jacks go! Jumping jacks go! Push-ups!
Pumps, jumps, bends. The shark attack is just beginning, and there is no escape.
Squat down! Squat down! Jump! Down! Jump! Down! Jump! Down! Jump!
A well-proven technique to raise the maximum level of stress and affirm his authority.
Not good enough! Did I tell you to move, yes or no?
No, sir.
Jumping jacks go!
Get down, I said, climber! Get up!
Sergeant Brown, Yin's right-hand woman, is one of the few women in charge of the boys, but no one even thinks of protesting against her orders.
Jumping jacks!
Toe line!
With 19 boot camps to his name, Sergeant Yin quickly scopes out his new recruits.
They're very motivated, they're very encouraged. They're following all the instructions. It's going really well here today. I got a good group of young boys. Push-ups, go!
Nothing else, you understand that? Do you understand that?
On the upper floor, there's even electroshock for the girls. They represent a quarter of the recruits and are always separated from the boys. Stockton has 300,000 inhabitants and is situated an hour and a half away from San Francisco, but we are far away from the millionaires of Silicon Valley. The unemployment rate is twice as high as the rest of the country. Isolated from town, the boot camp has an important mission: to put these young people back on the right track.
Looking up here, look at the person in front of your head.
They are between 16 and 18 years old. A lot of them have grown up in poverty, sometimes even with drugs and violence. All have failed in school. Some have even fallen into delinquency. These young people have chosen to live isolated from the rest of the world for 5.5 months, far from the temptations of their past. Their objective is to give education another chance and give themselves a future. It's a free program funded by the Army. It's been an institution in the U.S. for the past 25 years. For Cheyenne, this boot camp is her last chance to try again. Car thefts, hit-and-run offenses. Her criminal record is already loaded.
Court case wouldn't be dismissed if I didn't graduate. And so that's the main reason I'm doing it, and for my high school diploma.
You have
a lot at stake now.
Marisol is 17 years old. Abandoned at birth, life has never been on her side.
I grew up in an abusive adopted home. I got kicked out. I ended up in a shelter, and I didn't know I was pregnant. But I had my daughter, and right now I'm a little bit struggling. I'm still in long-term foster care, but I'm trying to get my life together for her.
Nicholas, 18 years old, is the oldest in his group. Alone and addicted to video games, he no longer has a social life and has had no friends since he was 10 years old. As a final desperate measure, his mother sent him to boot camp.
Still would rather be home than stuck here.
Why?
Here I can't really do anything with my life.
These young people must follow the orders of around 20 Army sergeants. They're going to have an experience which will shape the rest of their lives.
You are not wearing a uniform. You share a flag that we wear on our shoulder.
In charge is Chief Yin, a former Iraqi and Afghan leader.
Do you understand?
And your actions show that you are failing.
And this is his right-hand woman, Sergeant Brown, who commands these rebellious teenagers with an iron hand.
I said
During 5.5 months, these young people will suffer in the hope of finding a new life. But will they be able to cope? At boot camp, Operation Shark Attack continues.
Down, you all the way down!
I said squat down! Squat down all the way, candidate! You can do it! I said squat!
Hurry it up!
Join in.
Nicholas is already completely exhausted.
It's just hurry up! Follow the person in front of you!
Marisol has to tap into her last resources. And Cheyenne gets herself back into order.
Let's go. Figure it out. Figure it out real quick and hurry. I want 120% now. You understand that? 120% now.
After an hour, the sergeant gives them a glimpse into what lies ahead.
Your mission for this class is to accomplish a change in your life. But in order to make that happen, you must sweat. You must work for it. You must go through the challenge and the fire today. You'll be given instructions. You will comply to my instructions. If you do not comply, your cadres will come back out here and cape you. Do you understand? Yes, Sergeant! Are you ready for this? Yes, Sergeant! Are you ready for this? Yes, Sergeant!
To break completely with their old life, the recruits will have to comply with the discipline and follow the tight schedule. Back in their dormitories. The girls have 2 minutes to tidy away their belongings.
We did not make my time hat. So when we do not make my time hat, I give you something to motivate you to say, you know what, I better make Sergeant Matthews' time hat next time. Front and rest, that means gets in the push-up position.
Get out!
Push-up position,
Hurry
let's
up!
go. Hurry up. Yeah!
One slip leads to immediate punishment. For the boys, it's the same deal.
I'm gonna come by and adjust you guys. I'm gonna adjust your hand, okay?
Yes, Sergeant.
With Sergeant Yin, the salute must be correct, to the millimeter.
Close your thumb up. I'm teaching my candidates here during the ceremony. Right now we're doing peace of arms. We use peace of arms to salute flags, officers, show respect to board members. Can I fix your position? Can I fix your position?
Yes, sir.
Okay, look, get my hand right here, okay? Close your fingers up, all right? Okay, now put it right here. Now lower this down a little bit, okay? Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
At girls' camp, they learn to follow commands, even when coming out of the shower.
Get out! How about you guys try that again? No, reset! Get back, and you better sound off. I can't hear you. Go!
01, 02, 03, 04.
For Marisol, 17 years old, the day has been tough.
Like, it contains you like a little bit of anger, because it's just like, I'm not used to these people. I don't even know you, and you're yelling at me, and yeah, I have to do everything timed, and it's very hard. Like, and our cadres yell a lot, so it's very difficult not to snap at them. Like, because if I get snapped, I'm gonna get kicked out. So I'm trying my best just to keep my mouth shut. I don't want to get kicked out, even though it's a hard place to be.
The only moment of respite is given in the evening. Here, that does not involve a telephone or a computer. Their only link with the outside world is by mail. This is the only time of day that Marisol is allowed to look at a photo of her daughter, Reina, born a year ago.
That's my daughter right there. That's my daughter. It's very hard because I'm not used to not seeing my daughter.
I don't know how she's doing, but I'm hoping she's doing okay.
Marisol is going to have to put up with this distance for another 5.5 months. For the duration of the boot camp, she has entrusted her baby with her sister, a sacrifice that she accepts in order to give her daughter the life she herself did not have.
My whole life, I was just put down. My mom was very mean, very hard on us. She didn't really want us. She just wanted the money that came with us. So we would get hit a lot. And we never said anything because of the fact that we knew that if we did, it would get worse. So I'm just trying to better myself because I don't want to mess up and then have my daughter taken away and be in my place. I have to do what I have to do, I guess. Because if I don't know where I'll end up.
At the boys' camp, it's 8 p.m. and it's time for lights out.
Your heels are touching. Your feet are at a 45-degree angle. Your head is on your pillow. Your arms are to your side. Your hands are in fists. You are looking up at the ceiling above you or the bunk above you. You are not moving. You are not moving.
But nothing escapes Sergeant Brown's eye.
Give me your book, candidate.
Why do you have your book out?
It's a Bible.
I don't care, it's not authorized in acclimation phase. Do you understand?
Yes, Sergeant.
You will get this back in the morning.
Yes, Sergeant.
What's your name?
Romo.
Romo Sergeant.
Romo Sergeant.
When you wake up in the morning, it is a new day. Whatever happened today is gone. Adjust.
There's absolutely zero tolerance in this phase when it comes to having anything in bed to read, and that includes spiritual books. So right now it's hard, very hard on them, which is not me as a person, but so acclimation phase is difficult for me to be as a cadre, but you can tell I don't have a voice, but it's very necessary, very necessary.
Let's go!
A few days later, the atmosphere is a little more relaxed. The theme of this new trial, team spirit. At a height of 1 meter and 88 and weighing 140 kilos, for Nicholas to jump over this 3-meter wall is a real challenge. In his daily life, he lives as a recluse and never talks to anyone. But here, it is only thanks to his teammates that he can overcome this challenge.
I wouldn't be able to do it by myself without my squad. It's still just another step to health, this program.
For Nicholas, this boot camp is an endurance test. Unlike the rest, he didn't come here out of choice. It was his mother who forced him to come so that he could get out of his bubble and learn to socialize.
That is scary. That one looks hella fun. Okay?
I can barely feel my arms.
That's better. Do you feel your legs at least?
It hurts like hell.
That doesn't hurt like hell, I'm sure.
Sergeant Yin keeps an eye on it, because if Nicholas makes an effort today, he has only one idea in mind: to leave boot camp.
Okay?
Trying to push toward where I can get back to my mom.
I told you.
I'm not sure if I want to go to graduation.
Well, I'm sure I want your graduation. We're going to continue to push for graduation. At least I will and my team will. Anything to say?
No, sir.
Of course not. You don't have anything to say. Carry on. Have fun.
Let's go, hurry up!
Nicholas became the sergeant's main project. This isn't the first time that he's expressed his desire to give up.
2, 1, 0. 0!
Going all now.
Back at the dorm, Sergeant Yin will go to all costs to convince him to stay.
Push the canteen down. So why did you show up?
Doing what my mom wanted me to do, Sergeant.
You want to make her proud?
I don't know if I could continue with the program.
You are going to continue with the program. That's not your choice. It's my choice. You're here now. You're my responsibility.
My mom probably wouldn't be proud if I gave up.
If she see you right now, I think she would be proud of you. I think she would. Because even though you are hurting, even though you're tired and exhausted, even though you doubt yourself, you're still trying. And you should be proud of yourself. How does that feel?
Good, Sergeant.
Good.
Sergeant Yin thinks that he has convinced him to stay, but Nicholas will still give him a hard time. And he's not the only one. The next day, other recruits disobey orders. Sergeant Brown immediately reacts.
Your actions speak louder than your words, and your actions show that you are failing. Some of you want to continue to move, run in place, go! You better keep your gear in your hand. Hurry up! I said go! Get out! Hurry up! Oh, what's your name? Let's
go! Cadre, all clear. You will not run my academy. Right now, there is a target on your chest because you are failing to meet my expectations. This will continue day in and day out until you are right. And when I say you, I mean everybody. On your feet, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you're gonna start paying your debts. I will get what I want. And you will get what you need. Do you understand?
Yes, Sergeant!
Jumping jacks, go.
Let's go, one club!
The boot camp's philosophy to regain control of life is well underway. For the soldiers, anything is possible through suffering.
Stand up.
And the slightest mistake will not be left unpunished.
Put your hands over your head. Push-ups!
This young man is having an asthma attack. He's on the verge of asphyxiation. Sergeant Yin knows about his illness, but this is the third time that the young boy has forgotten his inhaler.
Where's your inhaler at? Whose fault is that? How many times I tell you I've got your doggone inhaler? Go get your inhaler! Go! I don't want to hurt anyone here. Even though I want the kids to be right, I'm not going to do it at the expense of their health and their life. Bear crawl!
It is in these extreme conditions that the boys and girls will undergo 2 weeks of the integration stage. Some will give up along the way. Others will become cadets and start cadet school. They will then go down a different path to the others.
4, lift, lift, lift.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hurry up, gentlemen. I shouldn't see anybody making bunks anymore. You've had plenty of time. Let's go.
After 2 weeks, it's the big day at Stockton Boot Camp. No more gray tracksuits. The recruits are to wear the uniform. From now on, they are cadets. Only 2 of the 133 young people have cracked and given up after 6 days.
19, 18,
Nicholas, though dragging his feet, is still there.
14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8.
At girls' camp, Marisol too is holding on, and as a cadet, she's earned a small reward.
Good. I have a daughter right there.
She's allowed to keep Reina's picture with her.
So I passed my acclimation phase. Now I can carry her around with me and not get in trouble. That feels good.
On the way to the cadet ceremony, the female cadets enjoy a moment of freedom. Having been deprived of music for 15 days, they can finally have fun. And it's the sergeants who are leading the way.
This is their time right now. They have fun, so it's all good. You have to let them have that every now and then before we bring down into back to the structure. But I like seeing this a lot.
I'm killing your brains like a poisonous mushroom, deadly.
And Sergeant Montiel takes the opportunity to show them his hidden talents.
You better play where the kids don't play.
I think it's really cool because we never see the, like, yeah, ever. We never see their personality. Never. That would work.
You show them a little softer side. They've earned it. So they're not candidates anymore. They're now cadets.
The cadet ceremony is an important step in rebuilding the lives of these young people who, until then, had missed out on life. We must show them that today they are on the road to success.
Nervous.
And to mark the event, it will take place on an aircraft carrier from the Second World War. The person congratulating them is Major Hudson, the head of the boot camp.
All candidates have passed all evaluations, all tests, to now be called and considered a cadet. Do you approve, ma'am?
Approval granted.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my God, this is happening.
It's now time for Marisol's dedication. She and her fellow sufferers are received one by one on stage by the entire command team.
Right now, take that bracelet. Put it on. Hurry up.
As a symbol of their new cadet rank, they receive a red bracelet with a motto, integrity. A great moment of pride for many, except for Nicholas, who keeps a rebellious spirit.
It still just feels pretty neutral to me.
For others, this ceremony marks the promise of a new life.
Let me explain to you what just happened. You are a cadet. You are not wearing a uniform. Challenge starts now. You have school now. We will continue to challenge you because we believe in you. And because you are worth it. 24/7. Do you understand? Yes, Sergeant! Do you understand? Yes, Sergeant! How are we feeling? Good, 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 Sergeant!
Back at the base, the cadets have another emotional moment. Tonight, they have permission to have a 5-minute phone call with their family. This is the first time since their arrival 2 weeks ago. And the military have kept a surprise in store for Marisol. With her sister's complicity, they have brought in her daughter, Reina. With her new cadet status, Marisol will now have the right to see her daughter for 1.5 hours a week.
She's like, thank you. How's that, girl? You miss mommy? You miss mom? You can't. Okay, go ahead.
Mommy got this for you. I got it because of you. I got it, baby. This bracelet means a lot. Because of this bracelet, I get to wear this uniform. And because of this uniform, I get to call myself a cadet. I want to be a role model. Like, I want to be somebody in life. Being a mom means the world to me. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, you got pregnant at 16. Like, what the heck? Like, that's sad. Like, yes, it is. Like, I shouldn't have, you know? But I don't regret it because of her, I'm here right now. Because of her, I'm trying to better myself.
As Marisol has come to boot camp, she also gets a second chance at school. Without a high school diploma, it's difficult to get a job and take care of her daughter, Reina. Can she now make up for lost time? In Stockton, the kids have been on their journey to school for weeks. The school is located within the boot camp. Cheyenne is a delinquent with several car thefts and hit-and-run offenses on her criminal record. The judge has promised to drop the charges if she finishes boot camp.
The court case wouldn't be dismissed if I didn't graduate. And so that's the main reason I'm doing it, and for my high school diploma. So you have a lot at stake now.
Cheyenne's future is at stake, and for the moment, it's off to a bad start. Relegated to the back of the group, she must muster up the energy for push-ups and mountain climbers.
What's going on, Shai? It's called keeping.
She's being punished for breaking a rule. One evening, she found herself kissing a girl in the showers located on her right. And here, when rules are broken, it's back to square one.
It's basically the first 2 weeks how we were like that in the sweats. That's what it is. So it's basically that all over again. But they pick the amount of days that they want it for.
Cheyenne is no longer allowed to wear a uniform, but that's not all. She's waiting for another punishment, which will be decided by the disciplinary council.
But what's negative 15, 0.5 plus 17? You have to subtract 15 from 17.
In the meantime, she's repeating her efforts to get her high school diploma. Unlike many others, there are only a few things left for her to complete in order to achieve this.
I used to struggle in math, but this teacher helped me get it. So now it's getting a lot easier. I used to not be able to do a single problem by myself, but I already did it all day.
These young people have fallen behind on school by several years.
Before, I did not care. I wasn't at a regular school. I would go to a bunch of different schools, so I never felt like I fit in. I'd end up not going, or sometimes I would do my work and not turn it in because I was too lazy, and I never had motivation to go every day. So I think here we have a push to go every day. We have to go, so that helped me a lot here.
So on page 73 to 74.
Here there is no distraction, no phone. These previously undisciplined young people are now in check, and for good reason. The sergeants are never far away, and they have a close eye on them.
Warehouses to south of Black Market for supply, and since it was rumored that the infant had died from
you rotate in and out, just make sure discipline, they're being respectful. If they fall asleep, we take them outside, do a couple workouts, make sure they stay awake.
It's 3 p.m. It's the end of class. But for Cheyenne, this is no good thing.
Let's go.
It's time for her to face the disciplinary council. This young girl and her girlfriend will finally know what punishment they will suffer. Cheyenne has a lot at risk because up until this point, she's denied the accusations against her. Her girlfriend, however, admitted that they kissed in the shower.
Bowman, first one. Let's go. Everyone else back up. So you're gonna give them the set instructions on what to do. Hey, listen up. So you're about to meet the other side of me because I'm not really happy right now. Okay? You better figure out what you're gonna tell me in that board because it's gonna really decide what I'm gonna do. Do you understand that? Do you understand that?
I'm nervous, but I think this time it's back.
Cheyenne has well understood the sergeant's message. She will quickly confess all.
Center yourself on Sergeant Matthews.
Candidate Bauman reporting to board.
Speak up.
Candidate Bauman reporting to board as ordered.
Addis, why are you here today? And tell me about that.
What happened in the shop?
Tell me what happened.
Oh, we kissed in the shop.
So what started all of this?
Me, Aceves, and Ayor were all really close. Like, just best friends. And then Ayor and I started, like, talking more, like, about, like, our life situations. And we found out that similar stuff has happened. And then it just kind of happened. And then the day in the shower, it was, like, counting up. It was, like, never planned or anything.
That's the first honest thing I've heard from you about this situation. Because you've told many people different stories, including myself. If you make a mistake, that's fine. Just own up to it. Do you understand that?
This time, Cheyenne confessed the truth. She's now waiting for the sergeant's verdict.
Bowman, position of attention, move. In regards to your integrity issues, I am giving you 15 days of pre-challenge. Do you understand that? Position of attention, salute.
Cheyenne will have to endure 15 days of harsh treatment and additional physical training. After 3 months, the cadets are allowed for the first time to return home to spend a weekend with the family. Before leaving, Sergeant Brown doesn't forget to give one last warning to her group, the Titans.
You have very proud people standing right here in front of you and over there waiting to take you home. So when you walk, I want you to be proud of where you have come from, proud of what you have accomplished, and proud of where you are going to go. Because you have a bright future ahead of you. But it's up to you to do the right thing. And it starts with sounding off.
Yes, Sergeant!
Do you understand?
Yes, Sergeant!
Do you understand?
Yes, Sergeant!
Because who are we?
Titans!
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 Who are we?
The little sisters meet up with their older brothers to have 4 days of freedom, far away from the military. Nicholas has emptied his locker. He intends to make the most of this opportunity by making a getaway.
Pretty much just following the same plan we've had since the beginning of just get out of this place and not come back.
Why not?
There's already just so much I need to do, and being here is just wasting time. That doesn't progress anything for my life.
How do you think your mom is going to react? Do you think she's going to agree? What do you think?
I'm really at the point where I don't really care how she reacts. It's my life, and I'm trying to progress it instead of just being stuck in one place for the entirety of it.
But in front of his mother, Nicholas will not talk in quite the same way.
How are you? You ready? You're not taking the rest of your stuff. No, you don't. You don't need, you're coming back, so you'll get your stuff when you come back. You're coming back. That's the last time we're going to talk about it. No, you don't. You're coming back Monday. That's it. You have come way too far to turn back now. There's no turning back. We've had this conversation. You're finishing. You've changed so much already, and you're going to keep going.
And this is just the beginning of tough realizations for Nicholas. He hopes to get back to his room and his video games, but his mother, Sarah, has booked a weekend outdoors, far from the screens in Santa Cruz on the California coast. Nicholas was 7 years old when he started to get lost in the world of video games.
What is that?
Sarah may be partly responsible for her son's current state.
Yeah, I drank for about 8 years. I've been sober for almost 4.5.
So how was your relationship with Nick during that time?
Distant, probably.
Non-existent. I would tell him to bring me beer. I stayed in the bedroom and watched TV and just alone. But he was just kind of, playing video games. That's all he ever did.
It's the thing I had to cope with you doing that. My way of keeping myself separate from all that stuff. I just sunk even deeper into a world of games just to get away from it all. Basically play like role-playing games, just like sink into a different life just to get away from the current one, to find something good. And at times still even have to do that every now and then.
To hear him talk about it and to, express emotion and feelings and his own thoughts is huge. Huge. And honestly, 3 months ago, I don't think he would do that.
Sarah doesn't know it yet, but in a few weeks, Nicholas will give her another surprise. Cheyenne has also been allowed to go home. The disciplinary council and their punishments are behind her. She is preparing for an internship, and not just any internship. The young delinquent car thief chose to spend half a day at the city's police station.
I'm really excited for today because instead of being the person in trouble with them, I'm actually the one learning with them and going with them to see what they do.
How are you? Good, I'm Brandy. Nice to meet you. Your makeup looks really pretty.
It was Cheyenne's grandmother who organized the arrival of Officer Aguilar. She knows that her daughter has dreamed of joining the police since she was a child.
This is something I've wanted forever. Like, I've always wanted to stay behind the
Oh, now I feel like there's a lot of pressure on me. Oh, no, I better make it good. Be safe, okay?
Love you.
Love you, boo.
Off she goes for 4 hours of patrol. The last time Cheyenne was in a police van was for a very different reason.
I was ripped out of a car at gunpoint at 6 in the morning because the cops grabbed me really hard and put me in handcuffs.
Informed of this delinquent's background, Officer Aguilar knows about the agreement between Cheyenne and her judge to clear her criminal record at the end of boot camp.
You did this stuff when you were younger, not younger, but I mean, when you're going through a hard time. Judge Stashin obviously saw something in you. Just having your back completely
shows you a lot.
That's a huge thing. And like if I can change your mind, like about law enforcement, like about you having like any bad experiences with law enforcement or whatever, then I'm doing like what I'm supposed to be doing.
And Cheyenne will have an opportunity to discover how Officer Aguilar carries out her role.
No plates.
She's just spotted a car that's been stopped due to suspicion.
What happened to your car?
Sorry about that. I just bought it. It's from the auction.
No plates, no nothing. Where's the paperwork? Hey, can you roll down this back window for me? Okay. How much weed you got in the car? A little zip? All right.
Officer Aguilar first wants to check that the driver is unarmed. In the car, she has spotted marijuana. In California, holding up to 28 grams per person is allowed. She takes hold of a big package.
How much is it? Okay.
A stroke of luck. The driver does not exceed the authorized amount. He can leave again on the condition of putting his registration plate in order.
All right, we'll give you all your stuff. You're welcome. Have a good day. I can't search it just because of the license plate. It doesn't give me any reason to get inside the car. If he was on probation, I could search his car. But I smelled weed. That's why I searched his car. And he was super cooperative.
Do you think he was high?
No, he wasn't high. He was fine. He didn't have bloodshot eyes, nothing. He wasn't showing any signs of being high. So.
She's nice. I think she's nice. She was like smiling and laughing with him, and usually they're like aggressive and mean, but she's really nice. I think that there should be a lot more female cops.
I do too.
I think they're better than men. Thank you.
Man, I could teach you how to be a cop.
Cheyenne's grandmother was right. This may be the beginning of a vocation.
She'll do great things. I see it.
She will with people like you behind her.
Yeah, she's gonna do great things. I can't wait to see you in a cadet uniform.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good day.
Cheyenne is now thinking of joining the police academy, but first she has to return to boot camp. After 3.5 months, the atmosphere has changed significantly. During the daily sports session, even music is allowed.
Everybody else, about face. March!
And above all, it is now the cadets who, in turn, take control of the group under the surveillance of Sergeant Brown.
19. Just make sure
We kind of step back a little bit, and it's more cadet ran. So he gives out all the commands, he holds the time, because when they graduate, they're not gonna have cadre here.
More autonomy, more freedom. But even on this home stretch, everything must be earned. Before they can play volleyball, the girls must restore the land back into shape. Marisol does not object.
Honestly, before I would not have done this. I would have been like, what the heck? No, you can clean it. But like, they show you teamwork and responsibility, and know that things are not given to us. So this is a good thing for all of us to know that you have to work hard for what you want, and we're working hard right now. So it's a good thing.
A lesson that Marisol has grasped and will soon be invaluable when she faces life after boot camp. After 5.5 months of hell, it's finally D-Day for Cheyenne, Marisol, Nicholas, and the other cadets of Stockton Boot Camp.
Hey, good morning, Titan. Are you ready to graduate?
At the boys' camp, Nicholas doesn't hide his joy. He's lost 23 kilos since his arrival.
just gonna say it feels liberating.
You know where we're at?
Sergeant. Thanks, sir.
All right, give me a quick cargo.
Moved, Sergeant Brown is also aware of the dangers awaiting her protégés when they leave the camp.
It's scary for me to think about the kids going back into a bad situation or them making a bad decision. That's the risk. All right, I'm not gonna cry yet. Oh my God, you ready? Where's your bag?
This departure is a return to reality for Marisol. This boot camp was a refuge for her after growing up in foster care.
Where are you gonna leave now? I don't know. I have to go to school on Tuesday. I'm trying to get to transitional housing so where they can help me get my own place. So I'm trying to figure out for now.
On the verge of erasing her criminal record, Cheyenne's journey is coming to an end.
But I remember the first day I wanted so much to leave and everything. And now it's like, if I would have left, I never would have been able to accomplish everything that I've accomplished so far. And it was really worth the stay.
Emergency exit face. Right side follow.
This is the last order that they must carry out. The girls will never come back to this dormitory.
I'm nervous. We're gonna go back into the real world.
But before embarking on a new life, the sergeants have a final tribute in store for the cadets. It's in Stockton. In the Grand Theater downtown, there will be a graduation ceremony for the boot camp. Families and relatives are in the room. For the cadets, the tension is at its height. All are waiting for the go-ahead. It will be given in a few moments. Nicholas is in charge of the orchestra.
I have to play a song for all the other cadets when they walk in.
And how do you feel?
Pretty as nervous as I can get.
Heads held high, the cadets proceed under the cheers of their relatives.
Your cadets are followed by their cadre who have worked day in and day out for the last 5.5 months, supervising these young men and women before you. Let's give them a round of applause.
Nicholas, the introvert, makes the whole room cry.
Finally, let's hear it for Cadet Moser on the piano.
The cadets are filled with pride at having finally accomplished something of this magnitude in their life.
Please take your seats.
The time has come to hand over the diplomas, the only one that most of them will ever have received. 85% of the young people have finished the camp, one of the highest success rates in the country. With an average score of 14, Marisol will soon get her high school diploma and achieve her dreams of becoming a nurse. Nicholas is not resentful of Sergeant Yin, who forced him to push his limits. Cheyenne got all the points she needed to achieve her high school diploma. She can now continue her studies at university. In the United States, almost 80% of the young people who leave these programs end up failing their exams and getting a job. 3.5 months after boot camp, Nicholas has returned to video games. He's returned to living in his room, isolated from the real world. Cheyenne did not go to university. She returned to a life of delinquency. She's currently wanted by the police. Marisol got reunited with her daughter, but has not found any housing. She lives from hotel to hotel, but she's holding on. She's about to get her high school diploma and enroll in nursing school.